When defenders encounter an attacker in a 1 vs 1 situation, there are 5 recognized defensive positions available to them. Tactically, players should attempt to choose the defensive position that's best aligned with the situation, their own skills, strengths and weaknesses, and those of their opponents. Your position in relation to the attacking player is important. The frontal defending position is the most offensive technique, and it puts the attacker under the greatest pressure. The main objective of this tactic is to win the ball through a well-executed tackle, or to place the attacker under sufficient pressure that they make a mistake. To execute this strategy, you should run straight on at the attacker, and stop an appropriate distance away from the player in the frontal defending position. Too close and you'll be beaten with no time to recover, too far and the player will have the time and space to pass the ball to a teammate. The strength of the frontal position is that it gives you control over the lateral directions. It allows you to both tackle and block shots on both sides. The weakness is that it's difficult to achieve and maintain balance in this position. You might find it difficult to move backwards smoothly, and you may find it challenging to turn effectively and defend the space behind you. The frontal defending position is well suited to tackling, blocking shots, and forcing the attacker to pass the ball backwards. The side-on defending position involves running along with the attacker in the defense direction. The tactic is first and foremost designed to win the ball through a body block or the use of a sliding tackle after a running duel. You execute this position by closing on one side of your opponent and readying yourself for a running duel. The strength of the side-on defending position is that it gives you good control over the defense direction. It provides you with good conditions in which you can body block or slide tackle your opponent, and it can be very effective when the attacker is challenging you. The weakness is that this is an unsuitable technique for blocking shots, and turning to the weaker side can be challenging, because you have to turn your back to the attacker and you lose eye contact with them and the ball for a moment. You may also have trouble preventing passes in the longitudinal direction. The side-on defending position is a particularly useful technique for fullbacks and wingers. It's also an ideal technique for fast players. The slanted defending position is a combination of the frontal and side-on defending positions. The objective of this tactic is to win the ball by tackling on one side of your opponent or running with the attacker on the other. To execute this position, you run straight at the attacker, close one side, get into the slanted defending position, and get ready for a duel. The strength of the slanted defending position is that it gives you good control of the diagonal direction. It's a technique that's suitable in many situations, and you can lead attackers in the direction that you want. The weakness is that you're vulnerable when the attacker plays a nutmeg, or plays the ball through your legs. And turning to the weaker side is often challenging if the attacker dribbles or plays a wall pass. It's also often challenging to find and maintain the right position, which is crucial to mastering this technique. The slanted defending position is a useful and versatile technique for all players. It's especially important for defenders because it's an ideal technique for leading attacking players away from your goal or forcing them to dribble or finish with their weaker foot. The reverse defending position is a special pressing technique that's useful in some situations. It involves winning the ball by inviting the attacker to play a nutmeg. To execute this position, you surprise the attacker by turning your back. This will often result in the player attempting to play a nutmeg. You're then ideally positioned to win the duel because you have a shorter distance to the ball and your body is turned in the defense direction. The strength of the reverse defending position is that it gives you good control of the defending direction, and you can win duels cunningly by tricking the attacking player. Winning 1 vs 1 duels in this way also gives you a mental advantage. The weakness is that this is a technique that must be used wisely and in the right situations. It's challenging to mentally master this method if you do not trust your skills and feel an urge to tackle. It's also difficult to practice this technique since it happens so impulsively in match situations. This is an advanced technique that's particularly important for defenders, especially those playing at a higher level. The chase defending position involves using both a pressing and marking technique. When you execute the pressing technique, you approach the attacker with short swordsman steps while considering tackle opportunities. However, you also ensure that you are ready to run with the attacker at a moment's notice. The marking technique involves positioning yourself on the side of the attacker and preparing to win the ball before he or she receives it in front, or to run with the attacker in the defending direction. The strength of the chase defending position is that it gives you good control of lengthwise movements. You can choose which direction you want to work in by switching the position of your feet. The biggest advantage is that it allows you to move in a completely different and more powerful way than the frontal defending position. This is the ultimate technique against attackers who are facing you in the wrong direction. It also allows you to control space in front and behind you. The weakness is that it might take some time to gain muscle memory for a completely new technique. This technique is effective but energy intensive since you'll be in continuous motion. The chase defending position is a particularly useful technique for defensive players because it enhances your performance and it adds an additional dimension to your defending game.